Halcrow is ready to fly the buzzer. Hoping to soar like an eagle this week on the Champions League. Go Birds.
Thank you, fifth rate.
Shaun Storry, his first opponent. Not going to be an easy one for him. Talked about his break. He needs to get that to fly as well. I'll do. What an opening break. I'm not exaggerating, Simon, when I say to you right now that that's the best break I've ever seen Brian hit. He flushes the life out of that.
He does. It's a tough break though, isn't it? It's a tough one to consistently do well because he stands up on it. So let's keep an eye on that as we go through the night. But as a starter, that is fabulous. Now put together the finish to go with it.
Yeah, to that end, we're playing international 8-ball rules in English pool. Pick your colour, set reds or yellows, pot your balls, pot the 8-ball, win the frame. 4 of those will win you the match in this best of 7. But the clock is important to consider as well. 20 minutes on the match clock. Oh, that's quite a dramatic shot clock malfunction. So the clock will be paused there. Brian Halcrow waiting to call his first extension, and the clock was so surprised to hear that, and quite a moment. But we'll move swiftly past that.
Yeah, apologies. That sounded terrible in our ears, didn't it? That was pretty poor. But also was that shot. I can understand why he's gone reds, and I actually did like reds. I was interested to see if he was going to go yellows, which looked fiddly at the top. But that first shot has just knocked the red really awkward on the right-hand side. He wasn't expecting to get that cannon. Arguably overhit it, threw wider than he was expecting, and now he's got a much more challenging layout because of it.
Yeah, and he's still continued to go here as Brian. It's a good example of maybe that between state. Do you stick, do you twist?
Yeah, and he does this a lot. That's the thing for Brian. He looks at that and thinks, I can't get out from here now. So he pulls back. And I'm not against it, but the problem is he's got, a couple of balls down now, and he's starting this tactical exchange from behind. So, as much as, maybe chasing that even further was going to get him nowhere, did he do enough with the safety? Is there anything more he could have done? It's one of those situations where Shaun's so good at working it out, even if it's a super low percentage finish from where he is it still the right thing to do? Time obviously will tell. But he's just not gaining any advantage by those 2 safety shots he has played. It's a case, I'm all for playing safe, but how are you going to force an opening? How are you going to make it a chance to win the frame?
Yeah, and happily we can report that we're able to go back live with the action. The malfunctioning clock is now fixed, and Brian Halcrow and Shaun Storry can get themselves back down to business.
So he's played the same shot for a third straight time, and it's a case of he's trying to force Shaun into to do something, but I don't think Shaun will fall into that.
Yeah, always think, in like, I don't know, say an American football adage, you're always trying to move the ball forward 1 yard at a time. That sort of does work in this rule set. That sort of that ideology. Even if you're playing negatively, you still need to be progressing forward. Even if it's a tiny amount, you need to be doing something that increases your chances of winning the frame.
Yeah, and that was a better one from Brian. He's there, he's popped open the red and put 2 yellows safe at the same time. He's improved his chances and he hasn't given Shaun a chance to go. Then, Shaun responds well. He's now blocked off. And
well, I wonder, because is Brian on this problem ball on the baulk line to the left centre?
He is, and then you can use the one on the right-hand side on the break line to open up the one that's at the top of the table. Now, what Brian has to do here, this is a low percentage finish. Is this the best opportunity he's going to get to win this frame? That's what he now needs to work out. And if it is, you've got to take it on.
He's looked for the plant, and he was not far away from it.
He was trying to be aggressive. Not quite the way I thought he would be, actually. I thought he'd go left centre, use the one at the bottom of the table, just to drift across, find the gap, and then go from there. But he saw it differently, and it's gone wrong. Now the chance is there for Shaun Storry to win this frame.
You look for autopilot this season. The leaning fully into the Top Gun mantra.
Yeah, I haven't had a close look at that that top, but it's certainly leaning into the autopilot, isn't it? Has to be slightly careful. Yellow doesn't go past the 2 reds, I don't think, or he's having a close look. If it does, then this is as simple as it gets. If it doesn't, then he does have to be careful onto it. We'll know after this shot. Okay, so it goes. This frame's going to hurt Brian, and it's not a terrible mistake he made at the start, but we know, obviously we talked about where he's at with his game, and he had first chance, and actually it was a really good first chance, and it went wrong in one shot, and we talked about how much he needs to get off to a good start, and this was the exact opposite. It was his error that has cost him.
Yeah, and with everything that was said before this match, and indeed during it, when we had that enforced pause, feels like a particularly bad way to lose the first frame of the night for Brian Halcrow. There is still an awfully long way to go this evening. It doesn't have to be defining for him. Opening frames, opening matches, first impressions tend to find a way of lasting.
Yeah, and also, with Shaun's having this next break, and he's spent his practice time in the arena working out what break is going to be needed for this. It will not surprise me to see this 8-ball tracking in one way or another. He normally works that out very well, especially in this format.
Yeah, soft cut break, we were foretold. It's not particularly soft.
8-ball flying, and I'm with you, that was not a soft cut break.
What it was a very narrow cut break. Really fully flushing that on the second ball, but about as narrow as you can possibly go at the top of the table.
Yeah, narrow cut breaks get the 8-ball moving more than most. The biggest question here, does the yellow pass the red to the top left? If it does, then this is out already. If it does, then you don't see how he goes wrong. I guess this is maybe the only shot that can go wrong. He now needs to, get the yellow away at the top left and come down and make sure you can see the one nearest bottom right, unless the yellow goes through the yellow and 8-ball, which it might do.
I mean, it looks razor tight, and Shaun's having a couple of looks at it.
Well, he's played for it, so it must go. Yeah, it goes in the side of the pocket. It's one of those you don't want to force too hard, because you want to use the pocket here. So it helps if the one under his hand does pass through the gap, because he doesn't have to come down the table anywhere near as far. He can almost just pop the cue ball on and off the cushion and leave the cue ball on the break line and still be fine.
He calls extension. Brave.
Does
Had
pull
to be
it down.
very precise with that.
I actually think if the yellow does go through the gap of the 8-ball and the other yellow to bottom right, then I think he should have played on it and played on it for straight in. He's actually pulled back down to get on the bottom one of the two. Oh, he's playing the top one. So yeah, just did he need to do that? Nudge the red away, make the 8 ball a little bit more accessible. It was accessible enough as it was, but he's perfect here, isn't he? Just pull this back and it's frame over. Oh, he quit on it.
He knew. Straight away he knew. Right, time for our educational segment. Si, for those at home who might be wondering what you mean by that. Quit on it.
Decelerated at the moment of impact. He was just trying to nip it quickly and just mistimed it. So essentially the cue was decelerating at moment of impact. The cue ball doesn't react, and you end up here. He was trying to pull that back an extra 6-8 inches.
Oh, I wonder.
And, this was such a good layout, and he's almost, you know, obviously we've watched a lot of Shaun over the last 4.5 years or so, and before, you know, from my perspective, but it's almost like he spent this frame looking for problems rather than just seeing the finish, because the yellow going top left, this was as easy as it gets.
He spotted a route out though, 2 cushions off the red, and it was very close.
Yeah, I didn't think that was likely, to be honest with you. I could see what he was lining up, but I didn't think you'd see him making that one. But not the way. Red needs to be higher up the table. You squeezed it as good as you can, but it's not going to fall in. Almost had to hit a lot lower on the cushion. And again, you know, does Brian need to play that safety? Did that, you know, I suppose if he gets cue ball in hand, but
I don't think he's worried about getting cue ball in hand particularly. I think that one you can make a case for that. That ball was slightly awkward. Got a free shot at moving it into an unmissable position.
I don't think there's too many players on the tour that would have played the shot that he's just played. Oh. And that's why. And that is why Shaun's going to be very unlucky here. Or is he?
It would be very Shaun Storry to be on this 8 ball.
He's not. Body language, I don't think he is.
Hell of a shot this, mind. Hell of a shot from Shaun Storry. And yeah, he is brutally unlucky. Can you get this 8 ball moving towards a pocket? Oh, he was on it. There we go. Shaun Storry goes 2-0 in front. And that is, well, that was exactly the point you were making.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully at some point we'll get a chance to see that, the lay of the table again, and have another look how difficult that layout was to clear up. But for me, you know, did he have to make that decision? He's already 1-0 down. We're in the second half of the match, and okay, that red's on the cushion. It would drop in the centre. It's delicate, but it comfortably goes in the corner. He's got other options. You know, yes, maybe that improves his chances of winning the frame if Shaun doesn't make his miracle shot. But do you want to give these players miracle shots? I don't know. You should. I mean, make your own minds up. I think he should have been more positive there.
Pretty positive break again from the buzzer, who is. Well, he said to us earlier that he'd put some serious time into improving his break off. Felt like he needed to improve it to compete with the big boys at the top of the Ultimate Pool Pro Series. And in terms of power, you really can't be putting more into it than that. Tricky old layout, at least at first glance.
Extension.
Uses an extension. It's difficult to see a way out. Top left corner of the table is a pain.
Yeah. That ball he's just played would have been a good ball to play off the yellow at the top left. So did he have a better option? I guess he's still thinking he can use the one he's nearest to do that same shot. Sure, yellow and in. It's a blind shot from here, so he could come bottom right and get better on it if he wants to. He's made it almost clean. Has he moved it enough?
I think he's got a shot. I think the red goes as close to the top cushion.
Yeah, in which case that is a good shot if it goes. I thought he might go wider to play the jaw and then off the yellow rather than directly off the yellow. But he's gone for directly, and if this slides by, then it's job done. And that's excellent as well. So this brilliant couple of shots. And having talked about Brian can get a little bit too negative, it was good to see him be positive there. Obviously 6 minutes or 6.5 minutes left as it was, and you've got to be, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about the almost crisis of confidence that Brian's talked about in his time with Ultimate Pool, and he feels that his game's there, and then the evidence from his tournament performances is that it's not there often enough, and it's difficult for him. But actually, you need to remember, this is a very, very good player on his day, and confidence, as we see in any sport, no matter what it is, all around the world, confidence, there is no substitute for it. And a confident Brian Halcrow punches that in the middle of the pocket and wins the frame.
Yeah, that's a tough one to take if you're Brian. It really is. All the hard work was done. It was a great visit to the table, and you just overcook it. There's no real reason for that. It's fairly routine. Maybe his eyes was just a little bit on the cannon, making sure that he didn't get too much bite and end up spinning up the table off the yellow, maybe. But yeah, it was a poor shot from Brian Halcrow, unfortunately. There should be no reason why Shaun doesn't go ahead and just make it 3-0. Obviously, same scenario as the previous frame in terms of, you know, Brian misses his last ball as opposed to Shaun missing his last ball. The difference this time round is very much that there is no balls on cushions. This is as routine and a counter as it gets. But you can't help but look back at what happened in frame 2 and just wonder, you know, if he had his time again, would he play it the same way?
And the difference between 2-0 and 1-1 with 6 minutes left at the time, it's big.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you know, look at the chances that Brian's had in these 3 frames. You know, obviously frame 1, great chance. Okay. Oh dear me.
Oh, Shaun.
Oh wow, that's scrap everything we were just talking about. That's as bad a shot as I've ever seen Shaun Storry play. I mean, we talked about deceleration on that one where he's trying to nip it 2 frames ago. Well, what about that one? That is jarring. That is very, very jarring.
I don't think he can quite believe it. Brian's played a really good shot on the red there. 8 ball to maybe keep him in touch. Rolls it in. And maybe that will just boost the confidence of the buzzer. And it might well deflate the confidence of Shaun Storry. That was an extraordinary miss. Just simply did not see that coming. I don't think Shaun did.
It's the sort of mistake that will completely completely do you for the rest of the night, in all honesty. I mean, watching that again, I'm not really sure what he's thinking about, because that looks like an absolutely plumb straight stop shot, and it looked like he was, maybe it had just a hint of angle on it towards the other yellow. If he stops it dead, you're going towards it. So maybe he was a little worried about just overhitting it and letting the cue ball turn too many turns towards the other yellow. Difficult to tell, because on that overhead it looked absolutely plumb straight, and he cued straight across it, and obviously decelled on it as well. But I mean, he's still 2-1 up, but that is quite incredible.
Well, 3.5 minutes left, and this match has had a little bit of everything. Back to the narrow cut break for Shaun Storry. You just knew that would be dry, didn't you? You just knew that would be dry, and Brian Halcrow has got a great chance to tie things up at 2-2 here.
Yeah, tricky-ish layout. Every ball looks good. Nice even split at the table, but there's 2 yellows and a red in a line, bottom right-hand side of the table. That's where he's got to get to. I think he's got to go yellows here, and if he can nip the first shot and get on the yellow above the red, just hit this nice and clean. If not, play into it, open everything up in one shot. Yeah, played into it. It could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. He's on this to bottom left, and this is good.
Lovely first shot from Brian, positive.
Yeah. He obviously wasn't straight enough to play on it, so played into it. first glance, that wasn't the best of shots. He needed angle to get the cue ball back out. The yellow in the triangle area is a little awkward, and he could have done with an angle to get onto it. Can't do that from here. So he's taking it top left. This is a lot harder than it needed to be, really. And it's not just the pot. You could end up on nothing here. The natural path, the cue ball's going into the reds. Does he land on the next yellow? He does.
Hell of a shot.
That's a bit more like it, Brian. Plays a good one, and then he plays a poor one straight afterwards.
Yeah, that's far from ideal.
Yeah.
Needs to find another good shot here, Brian Halcrow. All of a sudden. He's made the pot okay.
Yeah, natural cue ball here. That was fine. That's a great recovery shot.
Yeah, very good. Just wary of that cue ball, but it's just held up in time. Yeah, that'll do. Wow, wow, wow. How the turntables and all of that. Brian Halcrow, after a completely bizarre miss from Shaun Storry in frame 3, has wrapped up 2 frames in no time at all with a little bit of aplomb, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
From this moment, Brian's been flawless. And it's not been easy either.
No, it hasn't. That was such a positive visit to the table, and that's what we want to see from Brian. But that miss we've just seen again. If he was at all concerned that playing the stun shot was going to go get the cue ball towards the yellow, then just pull back and take both in the same pocket if he had that turn of angle, and if he didn't, then he just got that one all wrong. Just, like I say, I go back to it, I think it's as bad a shot as I've seen Shaun ever play.
Well, Brian has been flushing a front ball break. This time he's chasing the 8 ball with a cut break. But I tell you what, maybe the cut break's the way to go for Brian, because he's controlled the cue ball beautifully. And look at this split. Can he find a way out in a little over 60 seconds? If he can, he's going to get a Champions League win to his name.
And he should. He should. He's overdone the first shot, though. He's okay. He's gone far enough. Not entirely sure which ball he was playing on that line, but
he's not got a load of time here.
Yeah, and that's knocked a red awkward, and he's not played position. He could have gone top right. I mean, that first shot was such a poor shot to end up there.
I think Brian's thinking, if I can't win it, don't lose it. Can he still win it? Maybe not now, 25 seconds.
He's going to run out of time. First shot just killed him completely.
Now he can fly, and we know the buzzer can fly. He's not going to be far off here. 10 seconds left. Couldn't squeeze the red. He'd have been close, but he doesn't lose it. Brian Halcrow looked for all the world as if he was going to be beaten there, but has survived with a draw, and it throws our group completely wide open as we head into our second match of the night. Final score after match 1, Shaun Storry 2, Brian Halcrow 2.